Well, hi class, I hope you're all doing well. And this week we are going to turn our attention to another speech assignment, which is the informative speech. And we'll be working on this speech assignment for the next 3 weeks. So what I'd like to do today is, and in just a second, we'll go ahead and jump on the modules, and I'm going to show you exactly where you can find everything, things that you really need to pay attention to and focus on in getting ready for the informative speech assignment. Also, too, I'm still working through the critic speeches. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way done now. If you haven't got your critic speech yet, you'll have that by the end of the week. It just takes me a little bit of time to get through each one, and I really try to give you as many comments as I can. Also, too, understand when you're reading your comments for a particular speech, I'm just trying to help. And so it's kind of tough sometimes because I really want to be encouraging and positive, but it's a little bit harder to do that when you don't have all the nonverbal communication at your exposure. And I'm just typing things. I also type so slow, so that's why it's taking a little longer too. But with the comments that you get, I'm just trying to, here's what you need to do to improve and to get better. But please understand that's really coming from a positive place. I just want to do everything that I can to help you be as successful as possible in this course, and more importantly, to really develop your ability to be an outstanding public speaker. So, for the informative speech, there are really two things that we are going to learn as we put this speech together. One, we're going to learn a new outline format. So we're going to use a different outline format for the informative speech compared to the one that we use for the critic speech. And I hope that's one thing that you're starting to see in this class, and you're starting to understand that different types of speeches require different types of outlines. And so for the critic speech, there's a special outline format that we utilize. For the informative speech, we're going to use a more involved outline format. And then after the informative speech, when we get to the last big speech assignment, the persuasive speech, we'll learn a third outline format. So for the informative speech, real important, we're going to learn that outline format. And really, with the informative speech, all that we're doing in terms of adding to the outline format, we're going to add a fifth component to the introduction. We're going to call that our significance statement. And in the body of the speech, you'll have 3 main points instead of 2. And you're really going to like this one. And you get to come up with your own 3 main points. So no longer are the main points going to be assigned for you in the informative speech. Essentially, with the informative speech, you're going to take a subject that you want to teach the audience about, and you're going to have 3 subcategories or 3 main points that you'll focus on in the body of the speech as you teach us about that particular subject. Also, too, one thing that we'll learn as we get into the informative speech is how to tell the difference between an informative topic and a persuasive topic. The second thing that we'll learn with the informative speech, we're going to learn how to cite sources during the actual presentation. And public speaking is different, especially compared to, writing essays and papers that you're all used to, because if research is required, then you're just incorporating footnotes into the paper, and you'll have a works cited page at the end. But that doesn't work for public speaking. Like, we can't have verbal footnotes during an actual speech, and it would really take away from the impact of the ending of the speech. Is after we say that final line, speech is over. Oh, yes, and here's where I got my information. And then we go ahead and we cite the sources of evidence that we used in the speech. So with the informative speech, we're also going to learn how to cite sources during the actual flow of the presentation. That was the whole point of the extra credit assignment, where I had you pick a significant event, the year you were born, and come up with 3 source citations. In public speaking, when you are citing a source, it's much easier. You only need to tell us 3 things: the title of the publication. That's the name of the publication. So it'd be the name of the newspaper, name of the book, name of the magazine. For example, according to an article in the LA Times, according to an article in Rolling Stone magazine, according to name of the actual book. Or if you're citing information from a website, you would tell us the name of the website, not the web address. That's way longer and harder to remember. So when you're citing a source, title of the publication. Second thing you'll tell us is the name of the person who wrote it or the author, and then the actual date of the publication. And when we get into the modules in a second, I'll show you some examples of how to actually cite that source in a speech. I call them according tos. For the informative speech, you're required to have a minimum of 4 sources of evidence and research in the presentation. I'll show you where those go as well. So let's go ahead and jump on the module for the informative speech. Okay, we are on the informative speech module, and we'll be working on this for the next 3 weeks. And one of the reasons why we're taking 3 weeks here, notice down here at the end, I'm giving you a week between the date of turning in your outline and the date of turning in the actual speech. The reason why is I want you to make sure, and that's one of my learning outcomes for you for this class, is to learn how to effectively and efficiently practice and prepare for your presentation. And so that's why I'm giving you a week between turning in your outline and turning in the speech, because I want you to use that time to practice. And this speech is a little bit longer, the informative speech, 4 to 6 minutes in length. And we want to make sure that your eyes are on the camera, i.e. on the audience, more than they're on the actual outline. The way that that happens is you use this week to just practice reading your speech out loud over and over and over from the outline until you have your speech down well enough that you can deliver it without being totally reliant on your notes, right? I don't want to see any more speeches where I'm watching you read your speech. You've got to look into the camera. And even if you're looking into the camera, but you have it kind of jerry-rigged, so you've got your own little teleprompter and you can see the outline and the speech and you're actually reading it, I don't mind. I just don't want it to sound read. So that's where you have to make sure you really are utilizing your vocal variety, pauses, to create a real personable and conversational tone. All right. So here in each of the modules, this first one just gives you a nice overview of the assignment. The next one is on topic selection. That's real important because one of the areas that students struggle with more than anything else, I think, in a public speaking class is understanding the difference between a good informative topic and a good persuasive topic. So you want to make sure that you watch this video. Right here, I break down the difference for you. Then if we look at the next page, this gives you just the general outline format for the informative speech. Right here on the top, these are different ways that you may want to organize your main points for the speech. Here we have some examples of good informative topics from the past, but I want to focus your attention here on the outline format for the informative speech. And there's an instructional video where I go through the entire outline in detail. I show you where everything is, but just quickly, I want to point out 2 things that are the big difference in this outline format compared to the outline format for the critic speech. One, notice right here, we are adding a new component where we are establishing the significance of the topic to the audience. Anytime you're going to speak for longer than 3 minutes, it's always good in the intro to give the audience a couple reasons why they should listen to your speech, and your first source citation will be in the significance. And then the other change is in the body of the speech, you will have 3 main points instead of 2, and you get to come up with those main points based on your speech. So it's simply whatever your topic is, you'll divide that topic into 3 specific areas. In fact, if you look right here, if you're doing your speech on any kind of thing or invention, any kind of technology, the chronological organizational pattern works really well. You tell us about the past and the background, then you focus on the present uses, and then focus on the future implications. But completely up to you. You come up with your main points, and that means that you'll have two transitions because you have three main points. So you'll have a transition after main point one and a transition after main point two. Don't need a transition after the last main point in a speech because you go right to a review of your main points. And then also, you'll be required to have a source citation, at least one, in each of your three main points. And then if we go to the next page here, you have a sample outline for an informative speech that shows you exactly how to format the speech. And here we have examples of how to incorporate source citations into the body of the outline. They're what I call verbal according tos. And so notice here with the source citation, this is in the significance. That's where your first source citation should be. Furthermore, according to Chris Haney, name of the person who wrote it, ESPN magazine, title of the publication, November, I better fix that too, November 7, 2020. We've got the date. And so in all your source citations, that's how simple it is. Give us the name of the person who wrote it, the name of the publication, and the date. And here you can see an example of source citations in each of the three main points. And so utilize the sample outline to help you when you construct yours. And I would have this page open when I'm putting my outline together because it shows me the way to format the speech. And if your outline looks just like the sample outline, then you are set for the speech. So if we go back to the modules, then you also have some sample speeches that you can look at. And then the assignment, you'll have a quiz. You'll submit your topic proposal. I want to make sure that you've got a good topic before you put all the time and effort into preparing that speech. And then outlines due on October 29th, speeches due on November 5th. So all the instruction that you need, everything to help you be successful on this assignment are contained here in the modules. And if you have a question, you can't find it here in the modules, certainly hit me up with an email. I am happy to help. Have a good week, folks. This is a real important module. You want to make sure that you really get the informative speech down because just in college, when you transfer to that next level, you get on the university level, you'll find that you'll be giving more and more oral presentations. And this is a format in terms of structuring those presentations that you can utilize. So you want to make sure that you get this one down. All right. Have a good week, kids. Work hard.